Lotus is all about fighting, taking space, and big team battles. But what if you ran a team comp without initiators? What would happen if you just removed the engine of your team's firepower? Well, you would win. Wait, you think I'm lying? Well, Foot dominated Karmine Corp 9-3 on their attack half with a Willy Wonka, double Sentinel, and double Smokes comp. But how? What did Foot do that allowed them to dominate with this diluted abomination? Well, when you make the same stupid mistakes Karmine did over and over and over, you're bound to be humiliated.
Well, I'll tell you what, you fat little cunt.
What is this? What's wrong, Jimmy? You can win with wacky team comps. You just have to think a little more. Give these guys a chance. No, Teets. I bet they're just throwing. I hate ranked. Well, you know there is a way to detect trolls, right? Even if they're hiding their name. With the free Blitz app, you'll get a good idea if you're getting trolls as soon as you hop into Agent Select. These red flags can save your elo. And you get free intel on your enemies too. There's an in-game dynamic stats overlay that gives you real-time statistics telling you where you need to improve. And once the game's over, there's a post-game review showcasing every area of your performance. This includes combat score, damage, and headshot percentage in comparison to other players in your match. I mean, they also support League, TFT, Apex, Fortnite, CS2, and even Pal World. So what are you waiting for? Blitz is free, they literally save your elo, and they support this channel. Link in the description. Download it now or I'm stealing your shoes. What in the world am I looking at? Did Foot just pull agents out of a hat and lock whatever they grabbed? I mean, this comp has some major weaknesses that Karmine Corp should be able to recognize pretty quickly. I mean, come on. They stopped Fnatic from making Masters Madrid. This match should be easy work for them, right? Oh god. Their pistol stride is formed in a 1-3-1. Killjoy and Viper are playing for info while these three are trapping this area. Why? Whatever. And Foot are slamming A, but in a way that you've never seen before. The buy barriers fall, and Foot are fast behind their toxic screen, shielding them from Killjoy and her turret. But Magnum is freaking out. He hears an entire stampede behind this wall and starts clawing its secret to get out. But his teammates tell him to stay put as they're on their way. So he starts blasting through the smoke, but his turret hasn't been broken yet. Are they all going through door? Well, Viper and Cypher stay back to hold on to Rubble, but Sage, Omen, and Jet lock in the tree plant behind a dark cover and barrier to form a permanent crossfire. And now as Karmine funnel in for the retake, they cannot ignore this wall. If it doesn't get broken, they will lose.
Bana pikliyor yeter. Molly attım bir tane.
Nice.
Bir tane daha.
Teksin, tek başına oyna ya. Fight'ta sıkıntı yok. Burayı açar.
Fade
Buradan
oradan.
geliyor biri.
Beraber
İkisi de
beyler.
açar,
İkisi de
sakin
açar.
sakin. İyisiniz. Girdi. İkisi de lan, ikisi de.
Çıktı ya.
O da orada.
O da orada.
Bravo!
Nice oğlum hadi.
Aferin Yutu. Helal
Helal
olsun.
olsun.
İyisin,
Helal
sonra
olsun.
çok
Çok
iyisin.
iyisin. Yılanım böyle. Baba yılan her zaman. Biliyorsun.
Now, Karmine Corp made a couple big mistakes here. One being, why did they just let Foot out of main? This comp struggles, and I mean struggles at getting through chokes. The only form of initiating utility they have is Omen's Paranoia. So once the defense gets up into these spots, how are the offense going to clear them out? In an ideal setup, Killjoy and Viper should be jiggling front B and C, while these three secure Rubble. These two anchors, even after Viper's nerf, should be able to stall out long enough and cycle smokes to make hitting either site like running into a wall. But instead, Foot were able to leak out and sprint up into tree without a worry in the world. Now, KC's second mistake was that they never broke this Sage wall. Granted that they might have not known it was up, and it's harder to break on pistol, but it is so important that when facing a Sage, that you take her wall down. If you don't, the other team gets to run whatever game plan they want, which in this case was create a gross crossfire capped off with a singular smoke. So despite not having anything to help make space, Foot created a lot of it, all thanks to their opponents. Now, this comp does have a lot of flaws, but Foot cover them up really nice. Like on the anti-eco, we saw them compensate for their lack of a recon with their spy cam. With a simple cage lineup, they're able to pin their cam anywhere on either of these walls, pop it, and find out exactly who's on mound. And as a defense, what are you gonna do? Just spray all your bullets into this cage? But Foot cleaned up nicely, and then on the bonus, they made up for their lack of utility to get out to Rubble by comboing Jet's dash and Viper's toxic screen. Jet's signature allows her to run out, take a few shots, and dash back into cover before she comes into contact with enemy utility, similar to Chamber. But CNED got traded, and because the defense were heavily contesting A, Foot tried to book it into C, but Tamazi stuffed them, and the defense converted their first full buy. But it's this round where we start to see that Karmine Corp have zero clue on how to play against this comp. They're set up in a 2-3 anchor, stall, fight setup across the map, which looks good. And Foot are in a flipped 3-2 of their own, each side using their patent pending defaults. Now with both teams not having a lot of credits, neither can afford to drop this one. The barrier falls, CNED sprints out, but none of KC cross their wall, or use their nades, or flash. But he gets tagged by their haunt, forcing him to dash behind cover and use both cloudbursts to get out to safety. Karmine dodged Karmine's quick advance by just a hair, saved once again by their toxic screen. But in response to this pursuit, the rest of Foot are pushing in a mound behind their cloaked Cypher Cam. It's spotted nothing, giving J and friends the confidence to scale up. They smush Karmine's alarm bot, forcing the defense to pop both their Nano and Poison Orb. And now so far, the defense have a much better setup to what we've seen from Pistol. So far. Karmine have taken Rubble space, so now it's almost impossible for Foot to get back out of this choke point. Forced to go either C or B, it's now up to the side anchors to bunker down against this noodle-armed comp. I mean, what are Foot going to hit him with? Slow orb?
It's being watched this time, and they're ready for this push to come through. Two players on the site. Magnum might be giving away that he's on his own, but Tamazi's now, well, actually dropped. It's split from both sides, had no chance. They're going to play the retake.
Viper, what are you saving these snake bites for? Even if you just bounced them off the wall or clogged up one of these lanes, Foot would have had a much harder time hitting sight. I mean, what did they even use? A Molly and a slow orb. Even though you aren't certain that Foot are on mound, by mollowing early, you could have Shin refresh your smoke so you can continually hold this doorway. I mean, they don't have traditional flashes, and even after being nerfed, one snakebite was all they needed. Regardless, the offense half sight and cracks his walled off waterfall. But this big barrier is just a trigger for the nail in the coffin of Foot's game plan.
Into a seaside take, relying on the open as well. Yeduche again. This guy just pulls off ridiculous kills, taking over the round on his own once more. A third already. Crossfire set, but he doesn't need any help. And finally, Shin will put him down in the back. From a flank, please, but they will now look to close it, Shin. This time we're not switching up him, but it will still be the trade out.
How did Foot get on site again? Especially without using their paranoia? Way earlier in the round, Mr. Fallen walked up front B, which allowed his teammates to tap the door open to keep the defense committed to a 2-2 stack. So he wasn't here to use his near sight. And since he saved it, Foot waited for Karmine Corp to start breaking down their wall before ripping it and securing the player advantage. There just wasn't enough resistance on site against this no initiator wet paper towel strength comp. And especially with how important this round was economy-wise, this was not the time to save your snake bites. Karmine Corp know they shouldn't be losing to this comp, especially on defense, and are taking a timeout. Guys, what are you, weenies? You gotta fight and take space. Yeah, guys, we need to initiate these engagements. Foot rolled Karmine Corp on their eco, so now it's time to see what adjustments they made in their timeout. Okay, well, Fate is still starting on B to scan the run out. I mean, I guess they don't need to dump everything to stop Foot from coming out of there. Now, I'm sure they're going to take Rubble and stack the rest of the map and finally anchor their sights, right? Well, we can see that Foot have made some tweaks to their game plan as Cypher opens around by slapping his cam on the wall, clearing front B, and the rest of this team takes mound by one-wing the entrance and jiggle peeking around the corner. Their next objective is to ruin Killjoy's bots to drag over rotates before heading back to A. Now, as they try to spray through Tamazi's orb trying to find some bots, I don't know if going back to A is a good idea. Karmine have taken Rubble, kinda. Martine's op is posted up, but hey, buddy, why don't you get past that wall? Oh, okay, so you're just going to give up all of this space for free? Give up Rubble to a team with nothing to push you off this angle. Okay, well, Foot have left Mr. Fallen to keep creating noise and the defense anchored, while they go back to get all of this free real estate. They creep out of A main and past Rubble without facing any resistance. All that's separating Foot's no initiator comp and a free site is this op.
Map, opening the door to B, looking for control on C, but now they've spotted Yeduche.
So we use our toxic screen to come out of Rubble, but not to scale past Secret. Why? Which team is trolling harder? Ding, ding, ding, ding! Karmine Corp! Captain has his Viper's ult online, and even though the defense have the advantage, This pit, combined with Sage's kit, is going to be a bitch to retake on. But I think Karmine are finally starting to realize this, because as CNET and Cracks dash on top of and wall stairs, Karmine are sprinting over to flood in before Viper can ult and Sage reses. As soon as Ada Captain starts the plant, Narrate unleashes his Nightfall. Shin paranoias off the Prowler's contact, and Karmine plop out of heaven. But this flood is way too late. Cypher's back from the dead, and this pit and plant are placed specifically to spam from main and stairs. And not only that, but look at Mr. Fallen. How are Karmine possibly going to sift through all of this?
Spike comes in, and now Viper's pit for Ada Captain. Big pit to play inside of. I don't know how CNET's got the kill there. That must have been a spray through the pit to find it. Gorgeous play either way, intended or not. And now, to fight back through this, they are in a lot of trouble. I mean, that flank is barely going to matter because those players could come out the back of the Viper's pit, and instead, actually got Mr. Fallen spotting Tamazi, slowing down the retake, splitting these players up and making it even easier to deal with them. The decay running it down. Well, Shin, I don't know if he got the comms on where Mr. Fallen was, but that was a little awkward.
Yeah, it has worked out wonderfully for Foot once again.
Against a comp like this, you cannot give them map control for free. All this team has is stall. I'm talking slows, mollies, trips, a bunch of smokes, a wall that was never broken in this post plant. All this team has is utility to lock down a spike site, not take it. So Karmine didn't know it, but as soon as they gave up this much map control, it didn't matter if the op got a kill. They were destined to lose, and they need to change the way they're approaching this defensive-sided comp. Not getting aggressive against Foot is seriously hurting Karmine Corp. I mean, last round they got proactive and tried setting up in a crossfire on Mound, which I like, but it's Nico. They died. But against wacky comps like this, you need to be able to diagnose their weaknesses. Similar to this Ascent comp that I broke down previously, Foot don't have scans, or any reconnaissance, meaning that spots like these become incredibly stronger as you can come up with some dirty crossfires in them. They're just hard to clear with your rifles, and no mollies. So Karmine got rolled over again, and
something, because the fact is they've been denied in their retake. They're even getting denied in their aggression.
Dude, what don't you guys get? You have to use utility to make sure Foot can't get out of this area. Why are we giving the extremely defensive-sided comp 50-50 aim duels? Yeah, you have an op, but come on. You're pushing through a Viper wall, dude. Well, in just under 5 seconds, Foot have Rubble, and Karmine have some big question marks to worry about with no one peeking out to Mound, B main, and just losing the duelist on A. Now, with the defense pushback, Foot's plan is to hit B for the first time this game, expecting rotates to be headed towards A. But Shin's picked up the op and is now posted on this line, allowing a 3-stack to combat Foot's hit.
And got them the opener. Yeah. And that's Martin. Martin has been wrecked this game, by the way. He has one kill, and it was that kill on Yedojay. That's it.
He was leading those early duels last time, but not this time around. The turrets helped out. Even caught Ada Captain.
There we go, Timmy. You get the idea. Even though Foot got on the site, do you see how annoying it was to clear this corner? Imagine if this were a player, and not Timmy. Regardless, Cracks has secured site with this wall, but I think Foot are hesitating, because earlier in the round, Yeduji walked up Mound while all of this commotion was going on A and B, and is now calling Mr. Fallen over. But Mr. Fallen wants to go B. But Cracks breaks up this game of tug-of-war by calling out that Vipers in Waterfall blasting his wall, and he just heard Shin in Heaven swapping guns. If his teammates just go C now, Cracks can find a backstab later in the round, and all the offense would have to worry about is this lane, as it's the quicker rotate. And with no time to spare, that's exactly what happens. Both Foot players scurry their way into C, smoke off Waterfall, and their spy cam catches Viper, who's repositioned. Mr. Fallen recognizes that he can't plant just yet, and needs to buy time for Cracks.
To play with. I don't know where Cracks is going. He's going to be late to the party, but they've got the util to potentially delay them. They've got Tamazi, though, picking up Yedojay. Now Mr. Fallen's alone, and this could start to get very scary unless Cracks quickens the pace. Mr. Fallen has to hold strong in the site. It's only a matter of time. There's the peak, but Tamazi falls, and the flank comes through eventually.
Karmine's game plan isn't the only thing that stinks, but in this clutch, Shin's call was to one-way his teammate, so Foot could see his feet, and then lose. every single round so far, Foot have taken each slow and steady, which makes sense. I mean, look at their comp. But this round, they're finally using their Bladestorm and are going fast. But why, Teets? It's not an eco. Why are they using their knives? Well, Jimmy, these turtles have been dominating these melons so hard that they've realized that there aren't enough rounds left to save Jet's Bladestorm for an eco. So, a quick tempo change should catch Karmine with their pants down. Especially because Killjoy is AFK and spawn for some reason. Foot rush out of the gate with a slower blind up ready to trap potential defenders, a poison orb to leak out from, and a one-way like we've seen in their previous defaults. But Foot want to go fast.
On this map, but 8-1, incomprehensible difference. And I think it does fall back to exactly what Uli was saying to me. This team loves to fight, and this map is built for it.
Like, what is this setup? Killjoy started the round in spawn and only barely made it on a site to try and help Viper, but I don't even think she helped. The alarm bot was clouded by Viper's poison orb, and her nanoswarm was placed to delay the plants. I mean, why not put it in front of the smoke so the no initiator comp can't get in? If you're so worried about them breaking it, then why not put it in the only spot Jet has dashed into all of this game? Foot have the player advantage, but do you remember how I said that you cannot let these guys set up in the post plant? Well, Karmine aren't letting that happen again.
Comprehension, because KC are good at fighting. Now they have a chance though. Showstopper already in, and Martine up close.
Go. Cracks already found a trade. And a captain there as well. These post plants have been sublime, but this time they managed to get into position. There is still a snakebite available. They need to do something to get in here, and actually they might just be able to stick this one. If they can get in onto the defuse once that snakebite is gone, and a captain has to go through this, and round is over. There's nothing he can do here.
Finally, a good counter to this comp. If you're not going to fight for map control, you either need to bunker down on site or retake real quick before Sage and Viper can stall you out. If you look closely, Shin ulted from A and Paranoid out alongside Martine and his rocket launcher before this slow orb landed. And I don't know if this was by design, but the defense also managed to avoid the Sage wall that was being used to stall for their Cypher's flank. It's only been 10 rounds, but we're finally seeing Karmine slow this turtle comp down. Alright, something must have clicked in Karmine's brains last round with that retake, and they might have finally figured out how to counterfoot. They're starting in the same passive setup we've seen before. I mean, I'm sure Raze will at least use her nade or something, right? Or Omen's flash.
This man down, and one of those is a showstopper. Here's the big boy, the Odin in play. They're a little off the angle on the spray.
Dude. I know Martine got the kill, but why do they keep giving CNET this 50-50 duel? This was just a spam fest. They should feel lucky that Foot didn't come on top of this engagement. But they won the battle for Rubble, I guess. With their low HP, both defenders call their fate over to trade them out while clearing this question mark. 3, 2, 1, A's now clear. They decide to leave Shin to jump spot this line, and in the meantime, Foot has all of Mound thanks to their cam defaults, and their plan becomes clear. Because CNET is calling out how much damage he did to the defense, Foot want to contact into them and finish the job while YetuJ creates pressure on C with this smoke, which I broke down in this video. It's pretty good. But as Mr. Fallen scans the area with his Odin, Shin jump spots, and they barely spot each other. He jump spots again, just to be certain, but this time spots at a captain. This added pressure, plus the door opening, has dragged over 2 more defenders. But as Mr. Fallen slots in a tree, the next plan for Foot is revealed. Cypher is moving up B main, these two are going into secret, and they're splitting site. But Mr. Fallen isn't moving until he hears the defense move. Now, there's one major flaw with this game plan. Time is running low, and the offense don't have that much map control. So as they're planning, Magnum activates his lockdown, the ultimate wrench in Foot's plan.
Forcing Foot back. They might want to utilize this position, but Mr. Fallen dies trying to claim it. Still 3 players from KC here. And the Nightmare, the Nightfall comes in, catching them all. 2 at least, and the first already fallen out of captain out of here. 12 seconds left. Reposition from Magnum is perfect. Sublime play from the side of KC, letting nothing slip. And that's one way to close a round for Shin.
Karmine Corp were 1 straight bullet away from losing that round. Their game plan against this comp has been piss poor, and at this point, I hope you guys get it. Fight for Rubble against teams that can't get through this choke point. This part of the map is extremely important as it leads to so many others. And when I say fight, I mean use utility. Whatever, the Clown Fiesta is almost over. Ada Captain's only one more point off his ult, so Foot have shifted the bulk of their firepower towards Mound, with Cypher gathering info on front B and A. And Karmine Corp are in the same stupid formation they've been in all game. Foot one way, teleport across, and gain Mound with a double peek from both sides. But why are Karmine Corp one-waying A? This wall just cancels it out whenever it goes up. Why aren't they nading and flashing or tethering A while one-waying on C instead? You can contest both sides, you know, against a comp that has almost nothing to punish you with. I mean, come on, quit being such scaredy cats. All game, Mound's been free. Foot have it, and Viper's Pit, but they aren't done. Mr. Fallen sends over a dark cover to block the side cross as CNED dissects Killjoy's setup. And just like when Foot take any form of map control, Karmine just let it happen. Now, their C setup might be broken, but at least Omen is still gathering info on A.
Out of their hands on a map, a side of the map where they know there's so much to play with, and a Paranoia will get nothing but the information that there's a player there. Shin staying close though in this case, drops, it's all on the line! Both players jumping, but Yedajay's a little quicker to find that.
Your job was to sit here and hold this space. Why are we running at Cypher? If you just let the cage expire, he is going to peek into so many different off angles that you can be in. Just sit still. Yedujay has blasted a gaping hole in the defense, and to make matters worse for KC, he activates his Neuro Theft, sending the defense into a scramble that Foot can hear.
Coming through, the site's being given up on C. The wall from Magnum gives him an angle. He's using it against them. The battle for CNED though. He completely distracts them as they look for the fight on the players entering site. CNED's there behind, giving them a fright and leaving Narrate all alone.
So yeah, don't play against this comp like that. You gotta be more proactive than that on Lotus. And now I try to stay optimistic, but it's not like Karmine can bring it back in the second half. With the plethora of stopping power that Foot have, how are you ever meant to actually get on site, especially with this Sage wall tech? Foot are starting in a 2-3, where Viper and Jet are fighting for Mound, while these three are playing off Cypher's info trips and above the door cam. And in Karmine's 3-2, they're putting Foot's Mound hold to the test. The round opens up with Foot blasting a snakebite, one-waying, and CNED popping his dash. But Martine cancels out the one-way by satcheling into Shin's smoke, but Karmine's taunt got shot, so the offense boombots, Prowlers, and Foot barely get out with their life. But with this fighting on C, Tamazi and Magnum have worked past Rubble, suspecting this area is the weaker side. Magnum flips the door open, pops a couple of nanos right where he just got spammed by Sage, and eventually snaps Cypher's trip. And now back on C, CNED has dispelled all this pressure made earlier by peeking past this smoke. And with this tripwire holding on to front B, a 4-stack is forming right where Karmine Corp are headed.
Ada Captain back up to fall as well as they look to enter into the site. They had themselves that Nightfall, but already Yedajay is going to put one in the dirt, a second as well, even the low HP and blinded up. Yedajay is still putting up numbers.
Breaking through against this comp is impossible. But this wall's pretty cool, because as soon as it goes up, you only have 2 spots to break it from. Back here, or in this square. But after the smoke is placed, that forced the offense to slow down in this area to break it. The issue is that you're in no man's land when trying to break it. So, Paranoia for the backline, smokes to protect the wall, spam from stairs, and a slow orb too. After playing the first half that poorly, there was just no way Karmine Corp were coming back. I mean, they almost played as bad as Roy Adam when they used ISO. This was even more embarrassing.